The sky above Planet 4 was always red. Dust storms blew every hour. The wind made strange sounds like whispers. The planet was dead, or so people believed. But that day, something changed. The mining crew from the Zarnax Federation was working deep in the surface. Their machines drilled through layers of hard rock. They were looking for rare minerals. It was a normal job. Nothing special ever happened. Then, the ground cracked. "Sir," one of the miners called out, "you need to see this." Captain Rollo turned. His boots crunched on the dusty ground as he walked over. He looked down into the deep hole. Below, buried in stone, was something smooth. Too smooth to be natural. A large black door stood there, ancient, silent, and untouched. Symbols were carved into it. Not alien symbols. These were human letters. Captain Rollo frowned. "No human ever lived on this planet," he said. But the writing was clear. One line, one warning: "Do not wake us." They cleared the dust. The door was part of a larger structure. A tomb. It stretched wide beneath the ground. Sensors showed it was millions of years old. But one strange thing caught their attention. The inside was warm. Something was alive inside. How was that possible? Rollo asked. The scientists gave no answer. The crew set up a security fence. They sent a message to the Central Command. They waited. Orders came back fast. "Open it." Rollo hesitated. "It says not to. Orders are orders." They brought in heavy equipment. Lasers cut into the stone, but the black metal resisted. It took 3 days to finally break the seal. The tomb opened with a slow, deep sound. Like a breath, a cold wind rushed out. Even though it had been warm inside, the air that escaped was icy. Everyone felt it. Inside, they found a narrow hallway lit by small white lights, still working after millions of years. That was impossible. Nothing should still have power, but this tomb was not dead. They walked inside, slowly. The hallway led to a round chamber. At the center stood a glass coffin. Inside was a human, not a skeleton. Not dust. A man, young-looking, in black armor. His eyes were closed. He looked like he was sleeping. "Is he in stasis?" Someone asked. The machine said no. He was not in any stasis pod. Yet his body was perfect. Captain Rollo leaned closer. "He's not breathing. But he's not dead." Next to the coffin was a small control pad. One button blinked red. Above it were words: "If you are reading this, it's already too late." The crew began to argue. "We should leave now," said Yek, the chief engineer. "This is not normal." "We need to report everything," said another. "This could be the discovery of the century." Captain Rollo said nothing. He stared at the blinking button. Then, the glass coffin made a soft sound. The crew stepped back. A voice echoed through the chamber. It came from the walls. From speakers no one could see. It was a human voice. "This is Commander Kale of Earth Defense. If you are hearing this, then I failed. The war is not over. The threat still lives." The voice continued. "We buried our best. We sealed our memories. If the tombs are found, we are not here to save you. We are here to end what we started." The message ended. Silence returned. Panic began to spread in the crew. Some ran back outside. Others froze. Captain Rollo stood still. "There was a war?" He asked aloud. "What war?" "Humans never mentioned a war this big," said Yek. Maybe they erased it from records?" Suddenly, the hallway lights flickered. Then they all shut off. In the darkness, another voice spoke. But this one was different. "You broke the seal." It wasn't from the speakers. It came from inside the coffin. The man inside had opened his eyes. Outside, the camp went dark too. Machines stopped working. The sky above turned from red to black. Ships in orbit lost contact. The tomb had sent a signal, not just to the nearby system, But across the galaxy. Captain Rollo stepped back as the glass lid slid open. The man inside sat up slowly. His face was calm, but his eyes were full of fire. "Who woke me?" he asked. The crew didn't answer. "Where is the Council of Stars?" The man asked again. "Where are the peacekeepers?" We are just miners," Rollo said. "This is a mining mission. We didn't mean to disturb, then leave." "Now, but before they come," Rollo frowned. "Who?" The man looked up at the ceiling. He closed his eyes for a moment. "They watched us die," he whispered. "They made us monsters. We sealed ourselves away. Not to protect ourselves, but to protect the galaxy." Yek whispered. "Protect the galaxy from what?" The man looked straight at him. "From us." Suddenly, machines in orbit picked up movement. In space, a large black ship appeared, silent, sharp, like a knife in the void. It had no engines, no signal, no heat. Yet it moved faster than light. Other tombs across different planets started to glow. Tombs no one had discovered yet. It was a chain reaction. Something was awakening. On Planet 4, the man stood up. "I am Commander Kale. I served in the last human war. I was buried here to stop myself from fighting again. You broke the lock. I am bound by duty." He walked toward the exit. Outside, the wind had stopped. Total silence. Kale looked at the sky. "They will come now, the others," Rollo asked. "The others?" Kale's eyes narrowed. "The other tombs. They were waiting for a signal. That signal was me." The black ship in orbit sent one signal down to the planet. Coordinates received. Memory core unlocked. Primary judgment begins. No one knew what that meant, but deep underground, the tomb's walls changed. They showed images, scenes of planets burning, alien fleets destroyed, humans walking through fire, unharmed. Rollo watched. The images, this can't be real. Yek whispered. They weren't just warriors. They were gods. Kale turned to the crew one last time. "Tell your leaders. Tell the galaxy. We gave you peace. And this is how you thank us?" He didn't wait for a reply. He stepped into the storm and vanished into the red fog. The crew didn't follow. Later, back at headquarters, Rollo gave his report. But before he could finish, all comms went dead. A message played across every screen in the galaxy. A human face appeared. Kale. Double quotes. "This is not a war. This is justice. You broke the seal. Now we remember." Then the signal cut, and tombs across the stars began to open. The galaxy was no longer quiet. After the tomb on Planet 4 opened, something had changed. Systems far away, planets that never knew war, began to feel the tremble. Something old and waiting had started to wake. And no one could stop it. 5 days after Commander Kale walked into the red fog, a strange event took place on planet Neri Y-6. There was no mining team, no scientists. No one had even scanned the planet. It was dead, dry, full of broken rock and storms. But deep underground, under miles of stone, a black tomb opened by itself. No button pressed, no signal sent. The tomb just opened. Inside was no body. Instead, a swirling cloud of black dust floated in the air. Small machines like sand rose up and formed shapes, faces, weapons, then melted into nothing again. They were ancient nanobots. They had been sleeping. Now they were awake. The dust rushed out of the tomb like smoke. It crawled up through cracks in the rock. It reached the surface and vanished into the wind. No one saw it, but ships in orbit picked up strange readings. "Sir, something's wrong," the Nerio Watchtower crew reported. "We're seeing movement on the surface, but there's no life down there." The signal from the planet was growing stronger. And colder. In the capital of the Doreen Alliance, panic spread fast. Everyone had seen the broadcast from Kale. Some believed it was a trick. Others believed it was real. But no one could explain what the tombs were doing. A new video leaked to the galactic net. A group of rebels, calling themselves the Tom Seekers, had found another structure on a small moon. It looked like a tower made of bones, but it was metal. It had no doors. Still, as the rebels stood near it, the ground began to shake. The tower lit up. The rebels screamed. The video cut to black dot after that. The tower was gone, melted into dust. Galactic leaders argued. They are weapons. No. They are warnings. Then why are they waking up now? One alien historian, Professor Ulak of the Vorn species, made a chilling discovery. The tombs, he said, are older than we thought. Some were built before the rise of the first alien empires. That means the humans were here before us. People didn't want to believe it, but the signs were clear. Humans had come first. And then, vanished dot in a dark chamber on planet Hydar 3, another tomb cracked open. This time, not in secret. This tomb rose out of the ground. Tall, black, and humming. With power. It shook the mountains nearby. Local soldiers arrived and set up a perimeter. Drones flew overhead. Scientists scanned the area. One brave scientist, Dr. Inar, walked up to the tomb. She placed her hand on the surface. The tomb responded. Soft light covered her body. She gasped, and then she saw something. Her eyes rolled back. She dropped to her knees. Her mind filled with images. Humans fighting, but not like normal soldiers. These humans floated above the ground. Fire burned in their hands. Their eyes glowed with light. Ships fell from the sky. Just from their scream, Anar screamed too. When her team pulled her away. She could barely speak. They weren't warriors, she whispered. They were judgment. The tomb on Hydar 3 spoke. Everyone heard it in their minds. 3 awaken. 5 remain. The wheel must turn. Memory must return. No one knew what it meant, but the message was broadcast. Across space. Even to Earth. Earth was quiet. After the fall of old humanity, Earth had gone dark. No messages, no ships. Just silence. Now for the first time in 1,000 years, Earth responded. Simple signal, monitoring, judgment in progress. The entire galactic net froze. If Earth was still active, what had it been doing all these years? Watching? More tombs opened. One in the asteroid belt of the Vexari system. Another hidden inside. A gas giant. Each tomb had different messages, different shapes. One tomb was shaped like a hand. It clenched into a fist when discovered. A passing ship was crushed by invisible pressure. No survivors. On a science ship near the edge of the galaxy, a researcher named Tala replayed the first message from Kale over and over. We buried our best. We sealed our memories. If the tombs are found, we are not here to save you. We are here to end what we started. She looked at her notes. Every tomb was placed in systems where powerful species rose. Had the humans planned it? Had they shaped the galaxy without anyone knowing? She found something even more terrifying, the map. A human star map hidden in the tomb showed not just the tombs, but the alien empires that would one day rise around them. This isn't chance, she whispered. It's design. Galactic Council met in emergency session. Alien leaders shouted across the chamber. We must destroy the tombs. We must contact Earth. We should surrender before it's too late. But one counselor, an old warlord, named Threx, slammed his fist down. No one controls us. Not humans, not gods. He sent fleets to destroy the nearest tomb. The tomb didn't resist. It simply opened. Every soldier on the ship saw the same vision. A world burning. Their homeworld. On fire. But it wasn't real. It was a memory. But not their memory. A human voice spoke in their heads. You are judged. The crew vanished. Not killed, not hurt. Just erased. The ship floated in space. Empty. That was when people stopped calling them tombs. They called them courts. Not graves, but waiting places. For justice, for the galaxy. A message came from an old AI on a forgotten human station. We did not disappear. We stepped back. We watched your rise, and now we watch your hearts. The tombs will not destroy you, but they will remember everything you did. People began to ask questions. What had their ancestors done to deserve judgment? Had they stolen human tech? Had they betrayed old alliances? Some wanted to hide, some wanted to fight, and others wanted to join the tombs. The rebel group Tom Seekers uploaded more findings. In one tomb, they found books written in simple human language, stories of peace, of kindness, of hope. But each story ended with betrayal. A friend turns on a friend. Saved world joins the enemy. A rescued child becomes a warlord. The final page always ended the same. We gave everything. Now we give nothing. On Planet 4, where it all started, the wind had stopped again. Kale returned to the surface. He looked at the sky. He smiled. They're waking, he said. Behind him, more shapes moved in the dust. Humans, one by one. The tombs around the planet opened. The sleepers rose. Not dead, not lost, but ready. The galaxy didn't sleep that night because everyone knew the tombs had opened themselves for thousands of years. The galaxy believed one lie, that the humans had died. They were gone, destroyed in some forgotten war. Alien civilizations grew stronger, building cities on stars and moons. New rulers came and went, but no one remembered the real story. Now the tombs were opening, and the truth was rising from the dust. Across 57 systems, sealed chambers opened without warning. Black towers, bone-colored arches, silent vaults made of living stone, each one revealed something buried long ago, but not graves. These were choices, and each one whispered the same word into the minds of those nearby. Remember, on planet Daler, the Varn military found a massive tomb buried in an ice field. They drilled through the top and dropped in a scout team. Inside they found statues, not stone, but humans. Real humans, frozen mid-step. One held a child, another clutched a rifle, all perfectly preserved. Each statue had a number on its chest. And below them, carved into the wall, they chose silence over violence, so we sealed them away. The soldiers turned to leave, but then one statue blinked. In the Galactic archives, Professor Ulak worked day and night. He read old human records recovered from early tombs. They were warnings, lessons, histories. He found something strange. A sentence written in plain English. We are not gone. We are hiding from ourselves. He called his assistant. Why would humans hide from themselves? His assistant said nothing, just pointed to a recording. It was a hologram recovered from an ancient Earth satellite. A human general stood tall, battle-worn, and tired. He said, when we realized what we had become, we chose sleep, not peace, not surrender, just sleep. Far away on the edge of the Carthan Nebula, a group of salvagers explored a floating ruin. It looked like a city, cut in half. They entered a chamber filled with human armor. Suits still powered. Helmets full of light. One suit stepped forward on its own. No one was inside. The armor spoke. My pilot chose rest. I remained to speak. Speak what? A salvager asked. The armor turned. The truth. We were not killed. We were not defeated. We chose to bury ourselves. Why? The alien asked, fear in his voice. The armor's eyes glowed red. Because we were winning. Panic spread across the galaxy. Alien leaders asked, why would any species hide at the height of their power? Some thought it was a trick. Others said it was regret. But Commander Kale, now fully awake and traveling with other returned humans, gave a different answer. We buried ourselves, he said in a quiet broadcast, because we looked in the mirror and saw monsters. He told the story. Thousands of years ago, humans had fought a war, not with aliens, but with themselves. Two sides, both full of power, both willing to destroy entire systems just to prove they were right. They tore stars apart. They used suns as bombs. They rewrote biology and time. And then one day, they stopped, not because they lost, but because they won. Both sides, and that was the problem. They called it the last mirror war, Kale said. And when the dust cleared, we made a choice. Erase the weapons, erase the memory, erase the self, and sleep. The tombs were not prisons. They were locks. To keep what was inside from coming out, humans had chosen to bury their strongest. Not as punishment, but as protection for the galaxy. And from the galaxy. Now, that protection was breaking, because aliens had found the locks, and they had opened them. In the shadow of a dying star, a hidden vault opened. Inside were only 4 items: a blade that could cut gravity, a sphere that held a living planet, a book with blank pages, and a recording. The voice on the recording said, "If this vault is open, you have broken the chain. The ones we buried are not heroes, they are judges. And judgment sleeps lightly." On the central galactic net, a human AI named a liar sent a single file to all species. It showed maps, systems, and timelines, every major galactic power creel. Varn Yalari had risen after a tomb was buried nearby. Tombs that secretly influenced growth, culture, and even technology. Some languages shared roots with human words. Some starships used designs found in ancient Earth War files. You are not just children of stars, the message said. You are children of memory. On a cold moon, 2 alien children found a broken human pod. Inside was a song, a lullaby. It played in soft English. Sleep, child, sleep, we guard your sky. When hearts grow dark, we do not die. The children smiled. They didn't understand the words, but they felt safe. And then the pod blinked red. Back on Planet 4, Commander Kale stood at the edge of the first tomb. Hundreds of humans now stood with him, those who had been buried across the stars. Some looked like warriors, some looked like monks. One wore a crown of metal, and Ash. Kale spoke. We gave this galaxy peace, and it used it to grow teeth. Now we ask one question: did they use the gift well? A young human girl beside him whispered, or do we go back to sleep and leave them to destroy themselves? Kale didn't answer, not yet. Across the galaxy, tombs began humming together, lights aligned, a pattern formed in space. A code. The code translated to one sentence. Judgment begins in 7 cycles. Aliens everywhere panicked. What does that mean? Is it a test, a countdown, a war? No one knew. But deep inside the oldest tomb, buried on a planet no one remembered, a final guardian opened its eyes. A woman in golden armor stepped forward. She was not angry, not afraid. Just calm. She looked at the stars. And whispered, we buried ourselves for your future. Don't make us rise for your end. The stars were quiet again. Too quiet. Galactic ships stayed close to their home systems. Trade stopped. Meetings were canceled. Everyone waited. Because the countdown had begun. 7 cycles until something happened. Something no one understood. Across the galaxy, tombs continued to open. But now, people didn't go near them. They were afraid. They had good reason. Because on a dark, broken moon one far away, from all planets the first one woke up, and he did not speak. He destroyed, 6 days before the end of the countdown. Small patrol ship from the Zalari Defense Force flew near the ruined moon, known as K-17. It was a mining world once, but it collapsed during a sunquake. Now, only rocks remained, and something else. A signal, one the patrol ship could not trace. Captain, there's movement on the surface, said Officer Luro. Life signs? The captain asked. No, but something is standing there. The captain walked to the window. Far below, in the dust, a figure stood. Alone. UNMOVING. No ship. No dome. Protection. Just standing. The captain leaned closer. Is that A human? The patrol team sent down a drone. The drone flew through wind and ash and hovered above the figure. A man, tall, silent, wearing old black armor, full of cracks and dust. His eyes were closed. He looked like a statue. Then, the drone beeped. Power surge detected. Suddenly, the man opened his eyes and the drone exploded. Every system on the patrol ship failed. Engines off. Lights off. Weapons dead. Even oxygen stopped moving. And then, slowly, painfully, one voice played through the COMMS. It was not a scream. It was a whisper. You woke me. All 5 crew members fell to their knees, not from pain, but from pressure. It felt like gravity had turned to stone, like a mountain was sitting on their chests. The captain struggled to speak. Who are you? No reply. The figure on the moon raised his hand. Ships in orbit began to shake. Then crash. Not with fire, but like they forgot how to fly. News spread fast. The Zalari called it a weapon. The Varn called it divine. But the humans, now slowly returning from their tombs, called him by another name. The first one. Kale heard the report. He looked at the star map. K-17, he whispered. So that's where he was buried. The young girl beside him, her name was Mira, asked softly, "Should we stop him?" Kale shook his head. "No one can stop him." "Then what will he do?" Kale's eyes looked sad. "He will test the galaxy. He will ask the same question we asked ourselves. And if he doesn't like the answer..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Back on K-17, the first one moved. He walked across the moon. Wherever his foot touched, the ground cracked. He looked up at the sky, at the stars. And spoke for the first time. "Show me what you've built." His voice didn't echo in space, but every satellite heard it. Every listening station picked it up. And across the galaxy, lights began to flicker, because systems were listening, and something was replying. He stepped forward. And vanished. He didn't use a ship. He didn't use a gate. He just appeared suddenly on the bridge of a battlecruiser in the Zarnak's core fleet. The crew screamed. Weapons turned toward him. He raised one finger. Every weapon turned to ash. He walked down the hallway. As he passed, doors opened by themselves. Walls bent out of his way. The Admiral fell to the floor, begging. "We didn't know. We didn't understand." The first one stared. "Did you learn?" The Admiral nodded quickly, then froze. His eyes turned white. He whispered something, then collapsed. Gone. Dead. Not harmed. Just erased. The first one disappeared again. This time, he stood on a floating station orbiting a farming world. He looked at a child playing in the grass below. The station guards watched him with fear. He said nothing. He just smiled. The guards lowered their guns because they understood. He was not there to destroy the good, only to punish the guilty. Punish the guilty. Group of alien scientists tried to study him. They set a trap, a fake tomb, designed to copy human design. They waited. He came. Looked at the tomb. Then at them. "You lied." The fake tomb turned inside out, not exploded. Just reversed. The scientists screamed as time twisted backward, and they disappeared into history. Now, every world watched the stars, not for invasion, but for a visit, because no one knew where the first one would appear next. And no one could stop him. Meanwhile, Kale and the other awakened humans gathered. They stood in an ancient hall, built before the first alien cities. They spoke in quiet voices. Is he testing them? Yes. Is he judging? Yes. Will he find any of them worthy? No one answered. One day remained before the countdown ended. The first one arrived on the Galactic Council world, the most protected planet in the galaxy. He didn't come with fire. He came with silence. He walked through the streets. Everyone stopped. He stood in front of the great hall. And raised his hand. Not in attack, but in invitation. He spoke to the entire galaxy. Show me your best. Show me what peace has made. Not words, not banners. Show me your hearts. All across the stars, people began to act. Some gave food to the poor. Some stopped wars that had lasted for years. Some leaders stepped down, giving power to the weak, not because they feared death, but because they wanted to pass the test. And the first one watched. He saw a Varn child save a wounded animal. He saw a Yalari soldier help a dying enemy. He saw an AI rewrite itself to feel sorrow. And he began to understand. Maybe not all was lost. Then the final tomb opened, and everything changed, because what came out was not human. The galaxy waited. Tombs had opened. Humans had returned. The first one walked between worlds, judging silently. Some feared him, others worshipped him. But everyone knew the truth now. Humanity had not died. It had hidden. And soon everyone would learn why. Because the final tomb had just opened, and something inside was missing. It began on a dark world, orbiting a dead star. No light. No life, no heat. The tomb there was older than all others, covered in ice and dust, deeper than any drill could reach. But now it opened, not with sound or fire, but with absence. A scan team sent by the Varn Republic found it first. They descended in silence. The tomb was vast, black, and completely empty. Only one thing stood in the middle, a large stone seat. Carved into it were the words, "Reserved for the enemy." But the seat was empty. Captain Yelra of the scan team turned to her second in command. Was someone buried here? The officer checked the scans. No body, no remains, nothing was ever placed here. Then why did they build a tomb? The captain found more writing near the chair. If this is open, and the seat is still empty, then we were right to be afraid. They left the tomb and sent the message across the stars. When Kale heard the report, his face went cold. Chair is empty? The scout nodded. Yes, sir. Kale stood in silence, then said 4 words. It never reached us. Long ago, before the tombs, before the Great Sleep, the humans had faced something. Not an army, not a species, but a force. A presence. They called it the Stranger. It didn't conquer. It whispered. It didn't kill. It changed. Whole human fleets vanished without a fight. Cities woke up speaking strange languages. Minds twisted into fear, rage, or silence. They could not destroy it. So instead, they prepared. Tombs were built, not just for themselves, but for it. To trap it. To hold it. But now, the trap was empty. Kale stood with Mira on the observation deck of a human dreadnought. What was it? She asked. Kale didn't answer at first. Then he said, it was the reason we chose to sleep. We feared ourselves, but we feared it more. Did it die? No, Kale said. It simply never came. The first one arrived at the empty tomb. He walked through it in silence. He sat on the stone seat. It did not react. He closed his eyes and listened. For the first time, his voice broke. You were meant to be here. No one answered. He opened his eyes, and a tear fell. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, fear grew. If the humans had feared something so much they built an empty tomb, then what was coming? On the world of Daralon, a small child stood under the stars and whispered something strange. My dreams are not mine anymore. His mother asked him, what do you mean? They speak in my sleep. They are looking for the chair. In the far reaches of space, a mining ship picked up a signal. Not human. Not alien. Just static. Then words, not spoken. Thought. I was late, but I am still coming. Kale met with the Council of Returned. 12 awakened humans stood in silence. Mira sat in the corner, listening. Kale began. We prepared for war. We buried weapons. We sealed our minds. But the seat is still empty. Then where is the stranger? Asked a warrior. Kale pointed to the stars, still moving. In a distant system, a planet disappeared, not exploded, not destroyed. Just gone. In its place, A single black stone with human words. You weren't ready. Mira began to have visions. She saw a face she didn't know. Not human, not alien. Just a presence. It stood in a field of stars and spoke. Your fear fed me. Your silence built my name. She woke screaming. Kale stood beside her. You saw it? She nodded, trembling. It's awake, she whispered. And it remembers us. The galaxy asked questions. What did humans fear so much they hid for? 10,000 years? The answer was becoming clear. They feared a force that did not kill. It converted. Not just people. But ideas. Hope. Reason. It made you believe the wrong things. Until you believed they were your own. Across all human tombs, systems began to shift. Programs activated. Shields powered up. The humans weren't preparing to attack the galaxy. They were preparing to fight again. And this time, they wouldn't sleep afterward. One AI, still embedded in the oldest vault, spoke aloud. The enemy we feared is still unknown, but now we know its worst weapon: patience. It didn't strike us. It waited for us to vanish. On the abandoned moon of K-17, where the first one first woke, the stars above changed. Not naturally, but like a hand was reaching through the night sky, twisting the lights into symbols. Kale stood, watching. Mira stood beside him. What does it mean? Kale didn't blink. He whispered, It's writing its name. The galaxy held its breath. The tomb was empty, but the silence was full. And something somewhere was no longer sleeping. It began at midnight. Every satellite, every station, every starship screen across the galaxy turned black. Then, a single white line appeared. Earth transmission incoming. No one had heard from Earth in over 10,000 years. Most thought it was dead. Few believed it was sleeping. But no one expected Earth to speak again. 5 minutes before transmission, a child on a small colony world looked up at the sky. She pointed at a star and said, It's blinking. Her father laughed. Stars don't blink, sweetheart. But this one did. Not random, a pattern, and they weren't alone. Across hundreds of worlds, the same star blinked at the same time. Some called it a signal. Some called it a countdown. But the truth was far greater. Back on Planet 4, Kale stood with Mira and the other awakened humans. They watched the stars shift. Kale's face changed. They're realigning the grid. Mira asked, What grid? Kale pointed upward. The one we built before the tombs. The one we tied to Earth. The one we thought would never light up again. Then Earth spoke. No sound, just a message. Words printed across the stars. We see you. We remember. Now you must choose. Across the galaxy, ships froze in place. The message was burned into every system. It didn't ask for permission. It didn't need translation. It was broadcast straight into thought. Even the oldest A is shut down for 3 seconds just to receive it. No one could block it. No one could deny it. Earth was speaking, and it had been watching all along. In the Council of Returned, the 12 awakened humans stood in silence. Kale spoke first. It's active again. The others nodded. The fail-safes worked, said one. Then the stranger has returned, said another. Mira stepped forward. Why now? Kale looked at her. Because Earth doesn't speak unless it must. Elsewhere, the first one appeared on an abandoned station. He touched the wall. It lit up. A map of Earth appeared, but it didn't show cities. It showed memory lines. Every major species had one, stretching back thousands of years. The truth hit him. Earth had been watching them. Not the stars. Every decision, every war. Every betrayal. Earth had recorded it. And now it was judging. On the galactic net, another message arrived. This is Archive Node 1, Soul Core. You live because we chose silence. You grow because we chose stillness. Now we ask one thing. What have you done with the peace we gave you? Some tried to answer. They sent speeches, long messages of success and progress. But Earth ignored them all. Until a small ship, piloted by a child refugee, sent a drawing. A picture of her holding hands with a human from a tomb. Smiling. That image spread everywhere. And Earth finally responded. Hope survives. Protocol unlock. Stage 2. On Earth's surface, long-dead systems powered on. Lights shined in old cities. Clouds parted over mountains of glass. Even Earth's moon, silent for millennia, began to glow with buried satellite fields. But no ships left Earth. No voices came. The system moved. Quietly. Purposefully. Like a machine waking up. Kale's hands trembled. It's beginning, he said. Myra looked at the sky. What is? Kale turned to her. The memory war. Years ago, humans erased their own memories to stop themselves from destroying the galaxy. But Earth had not erased anything. Earth had remembered everything. And now, it would decide who else should remember too. A new signal came, a different one. From a human vault on the farthest edge of known space. A recording played. To those who stand on bones they did not earn. You do not own this galaxy. You borrowed it. Return what you stole, or we take it back. Aliens everywhere felt a chill, because they understood now humanity hadn't just disappeared. It had left the galaxy in foster care. And now, the parents were home. On a diplomatic moon called Veltor, 20 species gathered in panic. They argued over what to say to Earth, whether to surrender, hide, or fight. Then every screen turned white. A message appeared. The children who shared will be protected. The children who hoarded will be erased. Silence followed, then screams, because now, it wasn't just about the past. It was about the present, and what came next. Kale stood in front of the first one. They stared at each other for a long moment. Then Kale said, Earth has chosen to rise, but not to rule. The first one nodded. Then what? Kale looked to the sky, to remind the galaxy who we were. Across thousands of worlds, hidden Earth satellites turned on. They showed images. Humans giving aid, stopping wars, building homes, protecting life. And then images of betrayal. Humans murdered, gifts twisted. All eyes turned to conquerors. The message was clear. You were given paradise. What did you build? And then, Earth said something no one expected. We are not here to punish you. We are here to ask you, can you do better? People cried, not from fear, but from guilt. Hope. Memory. Something old and human had touched their hearts, something they didn't understand but wanted to. Child on a jungle moon picked up a fallen drone and rebuilt it. Soldier on a burning planet refused to fire. A queen stepped down from her throne and gave her crown to her people. And Earth watched. Silently. Still. Waiting. In one last transmission, Earth said, you were never alone. You were never unworthy. You were just young. And the stars lit up with a new map. Not of power. Not of war, but of healing. A new path. One where tombs were no longer needed. One where memory wasn't a weapon, but a gift. It started with dreams. At first, quiet. Soft images. A burning sky. A tower of bone. A voice speaking a name no one remembered. Then came the whispers, then the commands. Across the galaxy, thousands began to wake in cold sweat. They didn't know why they were afraid, but they were. They were not humans. They were aliens, but the dreams they saw belonged to someone else. One cycle after Earth spoke, on the planet Arechin, a Zalari farmer stood in her field and froze. Her eyes rolled back. Her hands moved without her will. She began digging into the dirt. Her family watched, terrified. Hours passed. She uncovered metal, a box, human-made, buried centuries before the Zalari even evolved speech. How did she know where to find it? All across the stars. It happened again and again. Aliens hearing old human songs in their sleep. Children waking up speaking words in ancient Earth dialects. Military leaders freezing mid-sentence. then finishing with perfect human Latin, the galaxy. Panic. Was it control, possession, or something worse? Kale called it what it was. The echo. Mira stared at him. What is the echo? Kale looked away. A ripple through memory. Not from Earth, not from us, but from what we left behind. Long ago, when the humans prepared to bury themselves, they feared one truth more than all others. That memory could be stolen, not erased, not destroyed, but copied. In the final days of the human age, Earth developed a shield, not to protect planets, but to protect the mind. They called it Project Silent Mirror. It worked for a time, but something had broken it. And now, the stolen memories were leaking into minds that couldn't contain them. The Galactic Council called an emergency assembly. Hundreds of species sent representatives. All were frightened. One diplomat stood and spoke, trembling. My son tried to write in the dirt last night. When I asked what it was, he said it was a warning from an old soldier, from a war no one remembers. Another said, my dreams are not mine anymore. And a third, shaking, cried, am I human, or am I dreaming someone else's death? The first one stood on a dark station above. A black star. He closed his eyes. He reached out and felt it. The dreams were real. They were fragments of human warriors. Scientists. Leaders. Memories. Scattered like ash into the minds of others. Why? Because the galaxy had awakened the tombs. Wrong. They opened graves without guides, vaults without translators. They opened memories like weapons. And now, those memories were crawling into anything with a mind. Kale explained to the council. You opened the tombs. You forced their seals. And now the dead speak to you in dreams. This is not possession. This is what you stole trying to become us. Mira had started dreaming too. Every night, she stood on a battlefield, staring at a dying sun. She didn't know the faces, but she knew their pain, and she always woke up crying. Kale sat beside her one morning and asked, what did you see this time? She whispered, a world we gave everything to save, and they betrayed us. Some species went mad. The weak-minded broke under the pressure of memory not their own. Whole cities fell to sleepwalkers walking empty streets, repeating battle commands from wars 10,000 years gone. Others took it as a gift. Humans are speaking through us, they said. We carry their wisdom now, and some started to change. The Varn Republic banned sleep. They forced every citizen to wear a neuroblocker, but it failed. Because the dreams didn't come from outside. They came from inside. Seeds planted by memory satellites. Earth had left behind long ago. Kale warned them. You cannot erase what you didn't earn. You opened the mind of a species that buried itself for a reason. Then the truth became clear. The dreams were not just memories. They were instructions. Old human battle strategies. Blueprints. From machines no one had ever seen. Coordinates to places lost in time. And at the center of them all, one word, awaken. The echo was not random. It was the backup plan. In case Earth fell. In case the humans never woke up. They planted their memories in space. And now, those memories were waking others, not to hurt, but to rebuild. Mira saw something else in her dreams. Gate, bigger than a planet. Floating in the dark between galaxies. Locked. Waiting. She told. Kale. He turned pale. We weren't supposed to remember the gate, he said. Why not? Because even we didn't build it. The dreams increased. And so did the fear. Because the memories began to connect. One alien on a jungle moon remembered part of a code. Another in a desert world finished it. A third on a mining station unlocked a door using both. None had ever met. None had spoken. But somehow, together, they remembered. On Earth, systems continued powering up. No voice. No soldiers. Just light, quiet, calm, rising light. But the galaxy was no longer calm. The echo had spread too far. And in the wrong hands, it could become dangerous. Kale warned. If the wrong minds complete the right memory, we will face something worse than war. We will face a version of ourselves made by those who never understood us. Then came the event that changed everything. An alien general used dream fragments to rebuild a human war engine. A machine designed to judge entire planets in seconds. Activated it. It worked. Too well. A city disappeared, and the engine spoke. Improper user. Trial failed. Restarting extinction. Kale stood before the council again. This time, no one argued. He looked at them and said, "You have become sleepwalkers inside our graves. And if you don't wake up, truly wake up, we will have to put the galaxy back to sleep." The first one appeared beside Kale. Together, they looked at the map of spreading echo activity. It was growing fast. Mira stepped forward. "There must be a way to guide them," she said. "Not erase, not punish, but teach." Kale nodded slowly. "Yes, but it means unlocking the final tomb. The one no one is allowed to open. The one that holds the first memory." Mira whispered, "Where is it?" Kale looked at the galaxy. Then pointed inward. Earth. The storms had stopped. The satellites were quiet. Earth had fully awakened. But it had not spoken for 3 days. And that silence terrified the galaxy more than any weapon. Because Earth was listening. Watching. And remembering. At the edge of Earth's orbit, a massive ring of lights came online. It was not a shield, not a weapon, but a key. And Kale knew what it unlocked. Deep beneath Earth's oldest mountain, below oceans, stone, and cities long gone, there was one final tomb. Never mentioned, never mapped. Even humans had forgotten its true location, until the echo revealed it. Until Mira dreamed of it. Her dream had been simple. A room made of glass. A woman in a chair, eyes open. Not dead. Just waiting. And a message carved into the wall. "This is the memory of Earth." Kale stood with Mira at the edge of a sealed valley near Earth's equator. A storm above them parted as if afraid. The mountain before them pulsed with energy. Tombs in space had opened silently. But this one spoke. A deep voice echoed through their bones. "Access granted. Prepare for final transmission." Stone split apart like paper. Light poured out. Not blinding, but ancient. Warm. As if the planet itself was opening its heart. They walked inside. The air was still. The temperature perfect. Time felt slower here. And in the center, just like Mira's dream, sat the woman in the chair. Old, beautiful, strong. She did not blink. She did not move, but she was alive. Behind her, the wall showed changing images. Children playing under alien suns. Humans dying to protect planets that would one day forget their names. All of history. In silence, Kale stepped forward. "She is the last memory," he said. Mira asked, "Who is she?" Kale didn't answer right away. Then he said, "She is the Earth we left behind." A voice came not from her mouth, but from the room itself. "You seek the beginning, but to find it, you must know the end." The lights dimmed. And the final truth began. 10,000 years ago, Earth faced the stranger. A force with no face. No army. No flag. It corrupted by suggestion. It erased by doubt. It made humans forget why they loved, why they built, why they hoped. And when that happened, Earth broke. Not by fire. By silence. But not all was lost. The humans decided to bury their weapons. Their anger. Even their own greatness. They made tombs for their minds, so that they would not become the thing they hated. And they made one tomb for the first memory. This one. Mira stood before the woman and asked, "Are you the stranger?" The voice replied, "No, but I was there when it whispered. I watched humanity choose stillness over survival. I watched them give the galaxy a gift they did not deserve." Kale frowned. Was it a mistake? The woman finally blinked. And smiled. "That is not my decision. It is yours." A light formed above her, a sphere, glowing, it floated between. Mira and Kale, this is the seed. Inside is all that humanity was. Not power, not weapons, just understanding. You may share it, but once it spreads, it cannot be taken back. The galaxy will remember who we were, even the ugly parts. Kale looked at Mira. What do you think? Mira touched the sphere and heard everything. Laughter, screams, the fall of Titan, the singing towers of Mars, the betrayal on Vita Prime, and the day a human child hugged a dying alien soldier and whispered, "We're the same." She opened her eyes, crying, and said, "Let them remember." The sphere rose into the air, and launched. Across the galaxy, the stars changed color. The seed spread through the networks. Not a weapon, not a virus, just pure memory, truth, the kind that made you sit down and stare at the sky, thinking, so this is who they were. On every world, people paused. A queen kneeled. A general wept. A child stood tall. No alarm sounded. No armies marched. Just remembering. And that was enough to change everything. The dreams stopped. The sleepwalking ended, because the echo had reached its final note. And now, the galaxy understood that the first one stood on Earth's highest peak. He looked down at the forests, the water, the quiet ruins, and smiled. Kale walked up beside him. Was it worth it? The first one answered, "They may never become what we were, but maybe they will become something better." Mira placed her hand on Earth's soil. She whispered, "Thank you for waiting." In the stars, the tombs closed again, not to hide, not to sleep, but to rest, because their duty was finished, and the galaxy was no longer blind. Earth's voice spoke. "One last time, we gave you memory. Now make your own." And with that, the silence returned. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of peace, of a galaxy no longer sleepwalking through the ruins of another, of species building. Not because they were afraid, but because they had remembered. The end